Is there a way to discern between the goodwill of the flesh and the goodwill of the spirit?
I don't know in what way the question is using the word goodwill of the flesh. Really don't. Mm, I really don't understand what exactly he or she means by it. Uh, while I was speaking about the conflict of the wills, there is one will which is God's will, which is perfect, and there is also the human will. Okay, and the human will generally, if it aligns with God's will, then there is no issue at all. But oftentimes the human will not align with God's will and will want to have or do certain things that are actually in opposition to God's will. And that is when there is a conflict between the human will and God's will. Now, sometimes as humans, we can also will or hope or make decisions and choices that are in keeping with God's nature and God's revealed will in the scriptures. And at that time, the human will seems to be in agreement with God's will. And therefore, there is no problem at all. And we don't then have to distinguish these two terms. It is one agreed will, which is godly. But whereas human will, which is in opposition to God's will, is actually the one that seems to be incongruent with the plans and purposes of God. In our choices, based on certain merits that we see for ourselves, in our limited view and understanding of life without the ability to see in the future. Therefore, it's always better for us to trust the omniscient will of God, which is always omnibenevolent and good for all human thriving and abundant living. Hope that helps.